Today I'm at TeamSport Preston for the reopening of the track, which unfortunately was burnt down a few years ago. Now, a short story of how I ended up doing this. So, back in 2020, during COVID, my brother and I found a deal on go-karting vouchers, and we got 50-lap races, two people, 50-lap races, for about £20 a piece. So that's £20 for two people, which would normally be about £100. So both of us bought 10 tickets each, and I decided to start touring the TeamSport tracks. I used up my tickets on the local tracks, the 10 local tracks. I found there were 35 dotted across the UK. So I've made it round 23 out of the 35 tracks, and I've had one of my karting videos do nearly 1 million views. So I'm very grateful that the TeamSport PR have reached out to me from my YouTube videos and invited me to try out the new track. Preston probably was my favourite track. It was an absolutely wonderful track, 3 levels, and there was a long straight leading up to a sort of spiral all the way up the 3 levels, if you check out the previous videos for this track. It is now 2 level, and I think there are other entertainment options inside now. I haven't been inside yet. I've just literally pulled up, driven nearly 2 hours to get here. Topping up the miles on V70S, of course. So let's see what the new track is all about.
Have you raced at a TeamSport before?
Yes, what the
So the full track used to be on 3 layers, but now they've got a separate new type of karting, which is called combat karting, which have told me is something like Mario Kart. That's not been released until the weekend. That's not opening until the weekend. The briefing room, everything nice and shiny, new. Male changing room. I wish my unit floor was this good. Epoxy 4 paint. Looks like they've done a really good job of that. Anyway, to the track for the first time in the brand new electric biz karts. So the track now is completely plywood, as we've got no lower concrete section anymore. We've just got the 2 upper levels now. This is the upper level, which is pretty much identical to how it was before the fire. So there's no changes upstairs, you still fly in at full speed into this corner with this double hairpin. Very difficult to get that double hairpin right. I really do struggle with it, seem to lose a lot of time there. Down the ramp, tap on the brakes to get the back end out to slow down without braking. Around this hairpin, struggle with that one as well. dab on the brakes onto the first straight. So the start line's about there. I wasn't aware at the time, but I believed that the event was a sort of publicity thing and they'd invited a few YouTubers down. But actually it transpired that only one other driver was a YouTuber and the rest were BIKC finalists. So pretty much at the top of the game when it comes to indoor karting, very fast drivers with a lot of experience and locals to this track as well. So they were very familiar with the previous track. Obviously with the track being completely new, the surface is quite slippy, even though I do get on very well with the plywood track surface. So for these first few laps, I'll let the faster drivers through and followed and copied some techniques to see what I could do. And by the end of this 15-minute practice session, I was putting in some pretty fast laps, and for a moment I was number 3 on the overall ranking because we were the first people on the track placing on the leaderboards. By the end of this session, I was pretty much keeping up with the fast drivers, and I put in a time of 38.742. So the advantages of this electric karting are you don't get the fumes from the petrol karting, which despite the exceptionally good extraction fans that they do have, you are driving behind a cart with an exhaust, so you get these fumes in your throat, and I would find that after 2 sessions my throat would be really hurting and my eyes as well. But obviously with the electric, all you can hear is the tyre squealing. That's it, nothing else. There's also a boost button on these carts which I couldn't figure out. I didn't use it at all on the practice session and got a better time. When I tried using the boost, which gives you I think a 5-second boost, I ended up getting worse times. The boost button appears to be available once per lap, but it didn't always seem to reset at the start line. It seemed to reset after a particular amount of time, so whether it's per lap or per 40 seconds or 45 seconds or minute, I'm not sure. But I never got to grips with it. It seemed to sometimes work and then not work, and sometimes work without even pressing the button. So coming up to the final lap behind a fast driver and my best time of 38.742. So I was doing well to keep up. And this is the start of the fastest lap. So thank you to TeamSport for the invite. It was a very enjoyable day and it was great to be one of the first on the new track. Looking forward to completing the tour of the rest of the TeamSport locations. Takeaway from the electric karting, I have done it previously It's different to petrol. It's not necessarily better or worse, but this is where we are. They're all going electric eventually. Disadvantage, you can't get a hot kart that's just been out on track with warm tyres, but plenty of other advantages, such as all the karts are exactly the same, healthier for the people using them, and much more reliable than the petrol karts. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the track.